What's up, Brian Tong here, and this is the Hisense C2 family of their 4K Ultra HD home projectors. And you know, I've covered plenty of projectors on my channel before, and Hisense, they're sponsoring this video to showcase their lineup, but I wouldn't do it if they were not legit. Now, each of these models offers something at every level, starting with the C2, then we're gonna move up to the C2 Pro, and then the pinnacle right here of the C2 family, the C2 Ultra. And if you're wondering why might you want a projector in the first place over a TV, well, projectors offer a more immersive theater-like experience with larger screen sizes, even bigger than what most TVs can provide without taking up as much space. You can move a projector around to different rooms or areas, so you get more flexibility there as well. And projectors are actually easier on the eyes because you're looking at indirect light, so they help reduce potential eye strain. Plus, the image quality, color accuracy, and brightness have gotten so good now, it's really worth considering. Now, I'm gonna break down the entire C2 family's features, their differences, and then which one might make the most sense for you because we do have 3 models. But first, let's unbox them to show you what's inside. Pop this top off, okay? Pop it off and do a little lifty here. Looks like it comes with like a little carrying bag case. Be boundless, it says. All right, we'll take the manuals and this first layer off. All right, and here we have the projector in its glory. I'm gonna slide it out. Okay, we have here also another box for its cable and its power brick. We'll look at that in a second, but here we have it. This is the C2 Ultra, and I'm gonna take this plastic bagging off here. Voila, woo! So there it is, the C2 Ultra from Hisense. You have this, right, where you're talking about how big it can get, anywhere from 65 to 300 inches, all right, 3000 lumens brightness right here in the front, and then on the back here, you'll have all the connections you can think of. Audio out, 2 HDMI, 2 USB-A, digital audio, and then Ethernet. And this is that Gimbal Design here that we see. And then we open this up, right, we have the power cable, obviously, and then here is the power brick. There's also this remote, and then you have 2 AAA batteries, so remote and the projector. All right, let's take a look at the C2 Pro, and then we have the standard C2 here. So we've seen them unboxed now. Let's see what these things can do. Now, if these are projectors, let's talk about what they are capable of projecting, right? And I'm gonna start with the C2 Ultra, and we'll talk about the features that do end up trickling down, but there are not many major differences here. That's what's nice about this. Now, we start with the C2 Ultra. It brings a top-tier viewing experience with a maximum rated brightness of 3000 ANSI lumens, which is a higher than typical brightness for projectors. And brightness matters when you're competing with ambient light, but the reality is that any projector performs best in low light, and projectors today at that 3000 lumens brightness can compete with daylight better than before, but that's obviously one of the drawbacks of, or really an advantage of having a TV over a projector when you're competing with daily light. Now, the colors on the C2 Ultra, oh my goodness, these are absolutely vibrant and they pop off the wall, and I can say that because we actually projected it on the wall with great detail in the shadows, and you got great detail in dark areas. And Hisense is using its triple laser technology, which is probably better described as triple color. So that's consisting of red, green, and blue, which displays 110% of the BT 2020 color gamut with a 2001 contrast ratio. Now, we wanted to try to capture a comparison here, and hopefully our cameras can really show this off, but as we move down the line to the C2 Pro, which is here, this has a maximum brightness of 2600 ANSI lumens with still a 2001 contrast ratio. It was actually hard to detect a major difference with our naked eyes between the C2 Ultra and the C2 Pro without maybe trying to trick ourselves into it, but we did recognize a little more of a difference when we went down to the base model C2, which has a brightness of 2000 ANSI lumens and then a 1700 to 1 contrast ratio. All 3 still have a triple laser light source and display the same 110% of the BT 2020 color gamut, so that's gonna be a great thing, and hopefully you're really able to see some of these subtle differences in our comparison shots. Now, we talked the C2 Ultra, and the C2 Pro, they both have optical and digital zoom, while the C2, this only has digital zoom. And why is that important? Well, an optical zoom gives you more flexibility with screen sizes in one place. When you set this down while maintaining image quality and sharpness, you can adjust it a little differently. With digital zoom, you might have to physically move your projector further away to get a certain desired projection size. But all Hisense C2 models, they support 65 and up to a 300-inch display sizes, so that's pretty impressive. Now, another difference is the video formats that each support. The C2 Ultra and C2 Pro, they support IMAX Enhanced, so you see some of those big Marvel movies that fill out those screen, that's IMAX Enhanced. You also, though, have Dolby Vision, HDR10+, HDR10, and HLG. Now, the base model C2 does not support IMAX Enhanced, so if you like that type of content, the C2 might not be for you, but most people watch movies that probably don't have IMAX Enhanced content. But this supports all the other formats. All three here have the same gimbal design, right? I can tilt these up, I can tilt them down, and we've already called out how the C2 Ultra here, this has that JBL 2.1 sound system with a subwoofer built in, so it's obviously going to be thicker on the bottom. The sound, though, here is surprisingly good, a whole lot better than I expected, and just well-rounded. You can even hear some of the separation of sound during action sequences, and that surprised me as well. Now, this has two 10-watt speakers and then a 20-watt subwoofer, and using the C2 Ultra on its own was more than good enough. Now, the C2 Pro and C2, they sound capable. They aren't bad, but the subwoofer obviously is going to add a lot more depth to the C2 Ultra, which is expected. But you do have the option to connect all of these to a soundbar or your home theater system with all of its ports. All Hisense C2 models on the rear have an audio out mini jack, and then you got two HDMI ports. One is HDMI eARC for higher quality audio formats and then transmission between devices, and the other is an HDMI 2.1 port. Then you're gonna have two USB 3.0 ports, one digital optical audio port, and 1 gigabit Ethernet port, and also these all have built-in Wi-Fi 6E. The port to connect power, that's on the back here on the base of the gimbal, and the power button is in the same location on all three models as well. But the gimbal on all three support 360-degree rotation. I can go all the way around, and then a 135-degree vertical adjustment. So you can use this to rotate all the way up to the ceiling and watch content on the ceiling for a different view or perspective, which makes it fun. Now these, I have to tell you, these are not the lightest projectors, with the C2 Ultra weighing in at a good beefy 13.9 pounds. But look, this is a gimbal mount, this is a speaker system combined. It's honestly not that heavy, but these C2 projectors are still more than portable from room to room in a home. You're not gonna hurt yourself lifting them around. Now, one of the features that's touted here is their partnership that's designed for Xbox, and it is a nice brand partnership. What this means really is that it's optimized for gaming console features like variable refresh rate and auto low latency mode with support up to 240 Hertz refresh rate. Now, the big thing here, gaming features, they aren't just limited to Xbox. I even plugged in my PS5 Pro, it auto-detected and knew to take advantage of those gaming features. So, I just went to town with Captain America and Marvel Rivals. I was just slaying on the largest display that I've ever played on, with the C2 Ultra projecting in all its glory. Hisense rates the input lag at 12 milliseconds, but it's actually been measured at under 5 milliseconds by others, which is a great thing. And the images that you are seeing here, this is just being projected onto my normal wall at home, right? I'm not even using one of the dedicated projector screens that is specifically made to enhance the projected images to pop even more, to compete with that ambient light. But it just shows me how freaking impressive that this C2 Ultra projector, C2 Pro, and C2 is without a screen. I mean, the brightness, the sharpness, the colors, and the detail, it just really looks so impressive. And we tried this out with all three models. Now, over here, we've got the wireless remote. This is straightforward and works exactly the way you want it and expect it to. You've got your D-pad. You also have shortcuts for apps like Netflix, YouTube, Prime Video, and Disney+. Also, Hisense runs its own VIDAA OS. This is a Linux-based operating system that they developed and is specifically designed for smart TVs. Now, this brings a very straightforward, streamlined, minimalist design that is simple and fast, and it just doesn't feel like you get some of the, let's just call it the bloat and extra stuff you get from other TV manufacturers. It's not there. It's very direct with all the app support you need, and I like it a lot. Now, beyond that, The proof is in the images, and the C2 family across the board are impressive, but of course, you know, the C2 Ultra literally and figuratively shines the brightest. So let's look at pricing now, and that can change depending on retailers and deals available, but the C2, the entry level, is normally priced at $1,999. The C2 Pro, that costs $2,299, so that's $300 more, but you're getting the higher brightness from 2,000 to 2,600 lumens compared to the C2, plus you're also getting support for IMAX Enhanced and digital and optical zoom on this model. And then the C2 Ultra, this is normally priced at $2,499. That's $200 more than the C2, where you'll get the highest brightness at 3,000 lumens, plus the JBL audio system built in compared to the C2 Pro. Now the C2 family is just slightly different at its different tiers depending on the type of user you are, depending on your budget, but overall, very, very similar. And I always want the projector that can get me the brightest image that competes with ambient light over the long run, because honestly, it will make a difference. And all three projectors, they are rated for 25,000 plus hours of entertainment, which is normal, and that's a whole lot. Now the vibrant colors and the shadow details, the image quality here, they are excellent, and you're really getting some of the best image quality for a projector in this class, specifically from the C2 Ultra at that high end, and really that trickles down to the rest of the C2 family. So check out the link in the description of this video to find out more, and thanks to Hisense for sponsoring this video, but you can do the homework for yourself. I encourage you to, and you will see why the C2 family is rated so highly, and the words I'm saying, I'm not making this up. So thanks again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace and love.